It's time to start the teams category of the Phoenix Festival Tournament. Today we'll be going over matches 1 and 2 of the first round of this round-robin tournament. There are going to be 6 rounds in total. Link in the description below to all of the Google Forms where you can go and vote for who you think would win in both these matches as well as any other match in round 1 of the Phoenix Festival Tournament. Make sure you go and vote for who you think would win, but you'll have to give a reason as to why. This is a tournament, not a popularity contest, so you'll have to give a reason, whether it's experience, semblance advantage, weapon advantage, environmental advantage, etc. Be as descriptive as you like. I always like seeing how different people think different battles will play out, but a reason does have to be given nonetheless. Now, when it comes to the team categories, there are multiple different ways that each of these matches could play out, depending on what members of each team face off against one another. So I'll try to give my best breakdown, a brief breakdown of each of the teams, their overall abilities, and which one I think would end up winning or has a more likely chance of winning overall. But just keep in mind there are numerous different ways that this could all play out. So our first match of the day is Team HAZE. That is the remainder of the Aesops, Harriet Bree, Marrow Eamon, Vine Zeki, and Elm Edern, versus Team ABYT. That is Adam's White Fang, with Adam Tauros, Banesaw, the White Fang Lieutenant, Yuma, and Trifa, the winged bat faunus and the spider faunus with the spinnerets in her hands that we saw in Volume 5. Now, there is a bit of a difference in experience when it comes to these two teams, as the Aesops are very experienced huntsmen in Atlas, some of the best that Atlas has to offer. And Adam is the most experienced member of his team on top of that. Banesaw is definitely very strong with his chainsaw blade, and Yuma being able to have air superiority is definitely something that gives his team a little bit of an edge. Trifa can also use her semblance, or her spinnerets in her hands, to restrain opponents, her weapon that she's used to fighting with being her knife, not really going to do much in this battle. But, of course, a lot of people are going to say that Marrow is on Team HAZE, so he could easily just stay, and then the rest of his team could just take out all of the rest of the team, all of the other team that is completely frozen, and that would be how the battle would go. But Marrow's semblance, he could do that, but it is incredibly draining on him to use that in a wider scale. We saw how much his semblance drained him when he fought against Weiss and tried to stop Weiss and then the Armagigas immediately afterwards. He stopped the Armagigas and was exhausted, so much so that Weiss dealt one blow against him and then his aura was completely broken and he was left unconscious. So when he tries to stop an entire team, that would only last for a brief moment. He did stop an entire crowd of people in Volume 7, Episode 6, when it was that party at Robin's, Tyrion went on his little killing spree, etc. He did stop everyone in that room for a couple seconds at the very least to try to get control of the situation and at least get himself and Penny and Ruby and everyone out of there. But still, that was likely very draining on his aura, as it didn't last very long. Maybe that was because his focus was broken, etc. But with this being the case, I don't think it would be that effective in this. Especially if the teams start out a bit more spread out, then Marrow wouldn't be able to use it on the entire team, as he's only able to do his semblance in a single direction. Might be wide enough to take out the entire team, but I don't think it would be, at least enough to mobilize them. Maybe he would be able to use it to take out a couple of opponents right from the get-go, and the rest of his team could jump on that, but I don't think it would be the, clinch in the entire battle. I think the overall battle would be determined by the experience that the Aesops have and the fact that Adam wouldn't really be able to charge up his semblance that much with the weapons that the Aesops have available. We haven't seen Vine use his weapon, as his weapon of Thorn is always kept on his back and he always just uses his semblance of Aura Vines. Nothing Adam can really use to charge up his semblance there. Harriet Bree uses her speed and her fast knuckles to deal close combat in battle, so wouldn't really be able to charge up his semblance that much unless he's able to block Harriet with his wilt, which by that point Harriet's already close range and that's not going to be a very good situation for Adam to be in. Also, with her fast knuckles, I feel like that could be something similar to how Yang blocked Adam's sword in Volume 6, so if she's able to catch Adam's sword and land some punches against him, possibly disarm him, that would be a very bad situation for Adam. But Adam would still be a force to be reckoned with. He is able to absorb any force that is dealt to him, whether it's from bullets or whether it's from actual punches dealt to his blade, and with that he's able to deal damage back to opponents. So he's definitely the strongest member of his team and someone that the Aesops might have some trouble dealing with. Even when it comes to Elm, she doesn't really have any gun functions of her weapon. She has rocket launchers, but I don't think she would be using that against Adam, as it's only 2 shots. She would need to save that for an opportune moment, and I don't know if Adam would be able to absorb that impact from it, because trying to block an explosive rocket with a blade doesn't really seem like the best option. The one member of Team HAZE that does have a gun and would be able to charge up Adam's semblance is Marrow, but even if he is starting to fire off rounds, he would see that Adam's blocking it, and after Adam unleashes a couple strikes, they would be able to catch on what Adam is doing, that he's able to absorb power, release it backwards, so Marrow would stop that very quickly, and it would probably end up being more of a close-range fight. Now, especially when it comes to Team ABYT, Adam is a close-range fighter. He does have his scabbard, which is Blush, that can fire long range, but I don't really think it would be that effective. The Aesops would be able to block it or dodge out of the way. Banesaw is a close-range fighter, same with Yuma, same with Trifa. Trifa might be able to try to restrain some of the Aesops. The Aesops would also have their gravity bolas, so they could restrain other people on top of that. Not that they would really be that effective, as Yuma would be able to dodge it out of the way, and by the time they are actually able to restrain someone, they would probably be closer to winning anyways. I do think the Team HAZE would end up winning over Team ABYT, as they just have more experience. That Trifa and Yuma, although they are supposedly skilled from the White Fang, we just haven't seen their capabilities that much in the show, and unfortunately they would end up losing, at least in my opinion. Team HAZE and Team ABYT are also fighting in the urban and ocean biomes, which, if anything, gives an advantage to the Aesops, considering they're used to fighting in the city of Atlas and Mantle, being very urban cities. They would know how to use the urban biome to their advantage. And the ocean biome doesn't really give an advantage to anyone that much, maybe Yuma if he can fly over it, but other than that, I do think that the Team HAZE would end up winning over Team ABYT overall. Now, our second match in the team category is Team Juniper, a team that I'm sure everyone is very familiar with, consisting of Jean Arc, Nora Valkyrie, Pyrrha Nikos, and Lai Ren, versus Team Dark, a fan-made team created by Raxacory. Link in the description below to all of the Team Dark trailers. They are incredible. Make sure you check them out. But this team consists of Dawn, Eos, Ashe, Umbra, Wraith, and Crimson Stride. I did an analysis of this team yesterday, so make sure to go and check that out. Now, when it comes to their overall abilities, Team Dark is pretty much consisting of fast-paced fighters, with Crimson being the tank of the team. Ashe, Dawn, and Wraith are very much, close combat, fast-paced fighters. Dawn Eos fights with her weapon of Daybreak Star, a Fuma Shuriken that she can fight close combat and throw as a ranged weapon, but once she's disarmed, she is at a disadvantage. Ashe Umbra fights with her Fiery Feathers, gloves and boots that are armored. The gloves also have blades in them, so she definitely is a close combat fighter. And Wraith is one that has rotating blades on his arms that also have rifles built in them. With these, he can pretty much do what Ironwood does, launch himself through the air and attack opponents, be able to flank them, and with his semblance of being able to sense his surroundings, it's very hard to actually flank him or have any surprise attacks on him. Ashe can use her semblance to make a mirror image clone of herself that she can use to attack. And then when it comes to Crimson, him being the tank of the team, he has been shown to fight with either a shield and an axe or a greatsword. And his semblance is hardening. He can essentially make his aura hard enough so he can withstand hits, lock his joints, etc. But when it comes to fighting against Team Juniper, they are at a heavy disadvantage. Team Juniper is, I would argue, a less experienced team, even as of Volume 7, with Jean, Nora, and Ren being fully licensed huntsmen, and Pyrrha, of course, being Pyrrha. She's very much a huntress already, even though she was a first year at Beacon Academy. When it comes to their semblances, Jean has his aura amp, being able to boost the aura of the rest of his team, so if Nora is able to get electricity from her hammer, etc., he could boost that up and Nora would become even stronger. Ren, with his semblance of tranquility, being able to block out negative emotions, don't really think that would play much of a factor in this fight, even if boosted by Jean's aura, but the key to victory here is Pyrrha, with her semblance of polarity, being able to manipulate objects that have magnetism, including opponents' weapons and armor. And with her semblance being boosted by Jean's semblance of Aura Amp, that magnetism would be boosted through the roof. We saw what she was able to do in the fight against Cinder Fall at the end of Volume 3, and that was a lot she was doing. She's able to control numerous objects with precision after she has touched them and pulsed them with her magnetism. And she's also able to just pulse her magnetism in general to make opponents' weapons fly backwards, opponents' armor, etc. But she needs to touch them to be able to control them with precision. Not that that would really be needed in this fight, though, because much of Team Dark wears armor, especially with Crimson Stride being pretty much fully clad in armor, more so than other characters in the series. We have seen, Carded Winchester, other members of Team Cardinal that do have some armor, but Crimson's armor is pretty much covering his entire body except for his head. And then also Dawn Eos is wearing armor, Wraith is wearing armor, so with Pyrrha's polarity, she would be able to pretty much ragdoll them around, or at least stop their mobility to the point where Nora could take them out, because both Ash and Dawn are weak to more heavy-hitting melee attacks, such as Nora. So she's able to charge herself up with the electricity that's contained within her hammer, because in Volume 4 she did get those upgrades where she can electrify herself, boost herself up, and then deal some heavy blows against them. Unfortunately, they are just at a disadvantage. Now, Crimson would still be standing even after Nora's blows and would be able to withstand pretty much many blows from Ren or Zhang, but Zhang is getting pretty strong in his own right as well, so unfortunately, Team Dark would just lose out because of Pyrrha's semblance alone, almost. Just the fact that they have so much armor and their weapons. Ash would be the one least affected by Pyrrha's polarity, as her weapons, they are armored and they do have metal in them, but she might be able to avoid that, get out of the way, because if Pyrrha is just manipulating them or pulsing the magnetism in a single direction, that could be something she could take advantage of. But with the rest of Team Juniper still able to fight, while the rest of Team Dark is restrained by the polarity, then Ash would probably end up being overwhelmed. It would be a very interesting fight to see on screen, but I do think that Juniper would end up winning over Team Dark. Overall, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys go in the links down below and vote for who you think would win in all of the fights in the Phoenix Festival tournament. And hopefully you guys are enjoying this tournament overall, the breakdowns of the different fights that are taking place, and we'll look forward to seeing more in the future. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with everything that's happening with the Phoenix Festival tournament, see how the results pan out at the end of the week, and in the weeks moving forward, who will end up being in the grand finals of each category. So tweet me at Phoenix Knight 7, join our Discord server linked in the description below as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video.